Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're joining us in a trying time, as England has, by the looks of it, somewhat of an easy path to the final, as it stands. We've hit the record at the 70th minute of Egypt Argentina, and Egypt, like a minute ago, just scored for 2-0.
Yeah.
But there are more frustrating things to mention than England possibly getting to a World Cup final in modern time. But it's been a wild week of football, isn't it? Hasn't it?
I mean, you say of football. I'm not sure it's purely been of football,
Yeah, it's
unfortunately.
been a lot of political football.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's been
second.
okay. Yeah, as everybody has probably noticed, it's been a trying time in the World Cup as Croatia has gotten knocked out of the World Cup. Sadly, we've we truly did our best. We didn't leave anything up for question. But FIFA certainly left something up for question by us being knocked out, which we might as well immediately get to because we can talk about the game. But the main talking point is obviously Matanovic's hair.
Yeah. Sorry, that was an even quicker departure than Croatia from the World Cup. This is the problem because
You
now
were
my
first of all,
recording room is right next to the living room, so I got a little tap on the door. It's like,
yeah.
yes,
First of
that's
all,
me.
Scotland got knocked out way earlier, like 4 days.
Yes, but
It was like 4 or 5 days of a difference.
um, Mithanovic, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I think, see, first and foremost, I think obviously there's two decisions that are very controversial from the game: the penalty and um,
yeah, and
the
the
end.
hair touch.
I think VAR got both wrong. I don't really think it is one of those penalties where you would look at it being given as a penalty and then you'd be like, well, if that's a penalty, then surely every time there's a
Everything
corner, there's a
else.
penalty.
Yeah,
Because it's not really a hold, it's a arms round, sort of flailing and falling over,
yeah,
rather than being pulled to the ground. And I think, you know, I can understand why it was given because at the end of the day, if the hands are there, there's always a risk. But the hands are there at every corner from
yeah.
almost every player, and yeah, you've got to have a bar, and I'm not quite sure it met that bar.
And I think
Um,
another point why the ref gave it after seeing the VR review is that the ball went right past him.
mhm,
So you could make an argument that if Vlasic didn't hug him, let's say, he could make a play on the ball and probably score,
yeah,
or at least get a header off.
yeah. Um, as for the other one,
The other one.
the other one. Um, so I think first and foremost, I've not necessarily got a problem with the chip in the ball. Um,
I don't
it
think
is,
anybody should have, like, technology is there to improve the game. I've
yeah.
always been for VAR, and that's never gonna change.
And as you'll probably have seen, and I think most people listening will probably have seen, there's a video going around of someone actually testing the ball, and you sort of see them go tap 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 tap,
Yeah,
various levels of to see how it reacts.
yeah,
The problem is that it's indicative. If you think of they have similar technology in cricket, they have the wicket right behind the stumps, so you can sort of hear whether there's an edge, whether
yeah,
there's and it's used indicatively because when you're playing cricket, in the sort of decision it's used for, you're listening to hear has it caught the edge of the bat, but also has the bat hit the ground and created noise, has the bat hit the batsman's pad and created noise. It's not always conclusive, so you are using the, as it is in cricket, snickometer technology
yeah,
to provide an indication that is then confirmed by visual evidence.
yeah,
This was not that. This was used as purely definitively, there's a little bump on it, must have been a touch.
yeah.
And that's it.
Conclusive.
And I can understand, if people want about technology, that's, up to them. Um, but If you do not have that followed by a visual marker, you cannot be certain.
Yeah.
It could have hit a really big B, and it would have raised something on there. I realize it's being flippant, but if you're making a noise right next to it, again, is it going to create a reverberation that impacts the chip? We don't know, because we've not
Yeah.
gone around slapping balls. Phrasing. But yeah, I think the fact is that there was no angle shown that conclusively showed a deviation in the trajectory of the ball, a deviation even in the
Yeah.
spin of the ball. Um, sort of means you can't really,
Make a call.
you can't. And if you can't make a call, the default then has to be with the referee's call on the field.
Yeah.
The other thing that's missed out, and again, again, borrowing from another sport, borrowing from rugby, when the referee is in contact with, as is in rugby, the TMO, which is rugby's version of the VAR, the conversation is mic'd up and you can hear it live.
Yeah.
Now, again, we don't know what the VAR said. We just know they said, right, okay, there's a raise on there. That means there's a touch. That means you need to rule the goal out. It might be that. It might be, actually, this is a bit of a judgment call. We can't see any visual evidence, but there's this on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that provides at least a bit of transparency for everyone. I think from INS's perspective, I would absolutely, I obviously know they're already having a crack at FIFA.
Everybody does.
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
but I think absolutely they should be requesting the transcript of the VAR logs.
Yeah, and
The
absolutely everything that you can possibly request about that situation, like the ball sensor, if there's a better graphic than what we were given, than just
yeah,
that. Like
yeah. I mean that's it. They
there
did
has to
release
be
it with
there
the
has to be
full.
noise, because the ball is moving through the air. There has to be something that the sensor is picking
Mhm.
up, and then if a touch did happen, obviously would you would see it. It would be very
Yeah,
apparent if a touch did happen. But
they did release a longer one which showed the
the second touch,
impact on the second touch from the
yeah,
defender, but you sort of see it's like little bump, big
and
bump.
that big bump, the
Yeah.
double, almost triple in size.
So, from a VAR perspective, sort of how far on the Richter scale do you need to be seeing a motion on here? If it literally goes, as small as it
Yeah,
can be, that you really off. It's obviously it's a terrible way for a match to end.
yeah,
Because it ended in confusion. It's a terrible way for a tournament to end, from Croatia's perspective. It's obviously already been overshadowed,
yeah.
but what
FIFA
that
always finds
doesn't,
a way.
yeah, but that doesn't mean that IFAB, and it is IFAB who is going to lean on now, shouldn't now be turning around and going, right, okay, we need to clarify this
That's
rule,
fine. Yeah,
because
yeah,
we can't be in a situation where, do you know what, if he was bald, Croatia should still be in the tournament. It's ridiculous.
yeah. His hair barber is a famous one in Croatia and has a big Instagram account. Posted a video of like 3 days before, and he's like, "Guys, my bad." And
It
he's like, and he shows like him, like like picking up his hair and being like, "You want to cut it there, there, there," and then Matanovic is like, "No, no, I want to keep it a bit longer."
but I mean, it sort of goes to that. I mean, try to think of, you don't see it so much now, a really long-haired striker,
No,
but
no,
I think like Batistuta had reasonably long hair.
yeah,
If he goes up for a header, completely misses it, but it sort of clips through the back of his hair and no contact with
yeah,
his head at all, would that register? Would it register on Roberto Baggio's rat tail? You just it, it shouldn't be that this subjective. And I think this is the key issue with the VAR interventions, is not that VAR is intervening at all. That's fine. VAR is there for a very good reason. Obviously we've seen Hawkeye's been brought in the league this year.
yeah.
That's A, a positive, and B, that's not cheap.
No,
Um,
which I was surprised by when I woke up this morning and saw that.
yeah, but you know, it's the clear and obvious. It's That's where VAR. has not corrected a decision, it has re-refereed a decision.
Yeah,
I think that's the key issue, because that's not what the technology is there for. The technology is there to stop so it always says a clear and obvious error. Now again, we're 4 or 5 days on from it. We can't tell whether it's an obvious error or not, which is
yeah,
telling you that the VAR didn't do its job.
yeah. I've said to you before. I think I've switched my mind on that like 1,000 times. At first, I was like, when I first saw it like live, first I was sleep deprived, uh, staying up for the game, being nervous where he slept, uh, and watching it. It was just first of all moment of elation when the goal came in. Woke up my mom who was sleeping,
Delighted,
which
I'm sure.
but it was an interesting and then you obviously see when that Pasalic is very obviously offside if Matanovic does get a touch and I'm just like, oh, surely not. Then we see the replay behind the goal. I'm like, oh, he hasn't touched it. Jesus Christ, we're actually through. And then obviously the what's it called, the sneakometer.
Snickometer, yeah, is
Yeah, is the official term, and you just see that little tick, and I'm like, ah, fuck.
and I saw some Portuguese people saying, "Oh, well, Pasalic turned around and looked at the linesman straight away. So he knew he was
Well,
offside. He knew he shouldn't have been counted. Of course he did. That's what you do
yeah,
after every goal now."
yeah, like that's the first. Like he knew he wasn't. He knew he was offside at a point. He knew he was past the defender. So obviously he looked back. That's what everybody's gonna. That's what Ronaldo did when he scored.
Yeah,
That's what Petar Sucic. Okay, well, Petar Sucic actually didn't. He already was started celebrating. Then Ruben Diaz aborted his his
yeah,
ball, which Jesus Christ. But as I said, yeah, I changed my mind. At first, I accepted it because I was like, oh, the technology says it, and I, seeing the replay a few times live, I wasn't even registering it. I was just like, I saw the tick, and I'm like, I accepted it. Obviously, afterwards, after the game, after just being on social media and seeing the replay 1,000 times, yeah, I started getting more skeptical. I'm like, there, I literally got this close to I was like to my phone, and I was like, there's no touch. That like the ball just keeps going as it
yeah.
should.
It's like you see independent people putting together, this is actually how the ball would have travelled, this is how it did travel. There's the BBC's 3D monitoring thing. It's like, you go into there is an obsessive amount of detail you can go into it. I think, probably what it shows is that this isn't an irregular game state. That sort of
Yeah,
cross
no,
that goes a little bit goes a little bit too deep and over the striker, and then
yeah,
someone's at the back post tucking it in. That's not that uncommon in football. It's rare that it is as close a judgment call as it was here.
yeah,
And again, without the benefit, in inverted commas, of the chip in the ball, what would VAR have done? Presumably they would have said, okay, it's a goal, we can't see a touch.
yeah,
But sort of much like the World Cup final in 2018, the very first proof of purpose of a new technology at the World Cup is proven to Croatia's detriment.
yeah. By the way, Argentina's just equalized 2-2.
Oh, not so
Messi
easy getting
scored.
through to the final than England. Haha.
Yeah, Messi is inevitable, unlike
Yes.
some other player. Uh, well, yeah, but yeah, back to that. It's there also has to be a margin of error with that, as you said. There has to be. You have to draw the line somewhere. Like one, like the spike, if it goes a little bit up, doesn't mean it's a touch.
Mhm.
There has to be a margin of error because obviously we don't see any real touch. We don't see anything
Yeah,
possibly happening to the ball.
I think there was one angle. I don't believe it was shown on broadcast. It was sort of not the behind the goal angle, but sort of from behind the goal from the other side, quite zoomed in, where you did see the slightest deviation. But it wasn't shown on the VAR, so it's not really of relevance
Yeah,
to the discussion. You can only go off what the evidence is, but like you say, there needs to be a protocol in place for this because,
yeah.
again, how do you be 100% certain? And to be quite honest, do you even want to be 100% certain?
We're not Bruno Modric, guys. We're not gonna take a video from a fan's perspective that shows the littlest deviation that could be
Mm,
just pixels, AI generated pixels in the camera. Just uh, we're not,
mm. Well, that's it. Portugal weren't up in arms.
no,
Ronaldo's
no,
just stood
obvious,
there sad.
yeah, uh, yeah, but it's also the same thing. I truly believe that if this was the other way around, we were winning 2-1. Portugal had the same situation. I think we all Croats would be. Technology says it.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's it's
suppose,
it, it it's just being on what side you are,
yeah.
and
I mean, I
sadly, we
woke up
are
in the morning.
always on this side.
I mean, I woke up in the morning and immediately, when my wife came downstairs, I said, oh, this is what happened in the game. They showed the incident, and she was straight away like, yeah, if that was Ronaldo on the end of it, it accounted. And I realise you shouldn't necessarily have that sort of skepticism. This weekend has served to provide a lot of skepticism about FIFA,
Oh,
which we can't not talk about. Um, but like you say, it is those differing views, and I think there is a real feeling about this World Cup that marketability has been placed above certain things. Obviously we're seeing the hydration breaks as one thing, but I think it sort of leaks in. It's obviously good for FIFA to still have Cristiano Ronaldo in the tournament for a game longer.
yeah,
Not anymore, but but that shouldn't be a factor. It shouldn't be something that fans even think about as something to have doubt in their minds. Um, but yeah, FIFA have gone quite a long way around putting doubt in people's minds.
yeah, and they proved it after the match. But anyways, let's stick to the game. So overall consensus shouldn't be ruled out. Not enough
No,
proof.
no, don't believe so.
Yeah, and it's always a thing, as you said. It's VR should be only used for clear and obvious, and it's barely ever used. It's used a lot of the time for not the clear and obvious, and it takes a lot of time. And I truly have to say, this like in our game, it was the longest the VAR ever took. In every game I watched this World Cup. In that game, VR took the longest, and it's and I'm like, I'm so used to this.
Mhm. But that's because the semi-automatic offside didn't trigger. So for them to have
Yeah,
gone and pulled it out, they've gone looking for a touch.
yeah,
And it's also sort of that aspect of, what's the approach of how you're marking this? Are you marking it positively, as in this is a goal unless we find a reason not to give it, or are you looking at this? We are looking for a reason to disallow this goal.
yeah. But yeah, it's just tough to be on the receiving end of VAR so many times.
Mhm,
And when we're talking about clear and obvious, I obviously believe that VAR should very quickly make decisions on dives. For example, Griezmann first goal of the World Cup 2018
mhm.
very clearly doesn't get touched and we concede from it. I believe that should just be done by VAR immediately. Just like, hey, he dived, no foul, give him a yellow, continue on, which is would be the perfect way to implement. Obviously, very hard because it's hard for in smaller nations to do that, since you don't have the camera angles that you have at the World Cup, where there's
Mhm.
what 48 or more
Yeah,
cameras. But yeah,
it's
it's a
difficult to replicate. And like you say, for leagues to just to move to VAR in general from recording a game, you
yeah,
know, you're talking about watching watch. Last season you're probably talking about one, maybe three cameras, three camera
yeah,
setup. In second tier Croatia, you're probably talking about, maybe if you're lucky, a six camera setup. Uh,
very
center,
lucky.
behind the goals, and one sort of around corner flags. Um, like I say, moving that up to 48 it's a big investment, for one, which obviously it's the World Cup, who cares? But
Yeah,
also, it is a big difference in how much is visible,
yeah,
from how the game is played, from how the game is covered, and from how it's talked about.
yeah.
Um, and not one of the 48 cameras caught a really good angle of Matanovic heading it. Um,
Yeah, it's yeah, as I said, just very tough to be on the receiving end of VAR decisions. But oh well. Croatia is knocked out, so we can't do anything. Portugal is knocked out, for God's sake, already. Thankfully. But yeah, let's get to the game overall. So first 25 minutes were awful. Portugal absolutely was on the front foot, and they absolutely started giving it to us, and we almost conceded. Livakovic was fantastic, and Portugal were wasteful. But after that, we calmed the game down. The Portugal calmed down, so they weren't pressing as high anymore, and we found found a breakthrough a few times. Didn't get a shot until right at the end of the half, with Baturna having a long range shot, but we still got in good positions, but always an extra pass too much. Nobody wanted to cross the ball for some reason, unlike Portugal, which Portugal did so many crosses, and every single cross was at the top of the 5 meter box, and every single time I was like, Jesus Christ, guys, just double down on the wingers, just double them, because we're gonna concede from it. Foreshadowing. Uh, but thankfully, Ronaldo isn't the man he used to be, so he couldn't get an end of any of those. But yeah, first half just boring, just standard. Like after the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, it was just standard what we expected.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't. I mean, obviously it changed straight away at halftime,
Yeah,
but but yeah, I mean, it was another. I mean, to be fair, there've been quite a lot of nothing halves in this tournament, and I
yeah,
think it's fair to say Croatia haven't had not at any point in this tournament put together a full 90 minutes. The most you can argue is, say from the Ghana game, maybe they
Ghana,
put
yeah,
together 60. But yeah, I think it was what we expected, and then it wasn't.
yeah, and then very quickly. So obviously, second half starts. Matanovic gets brought in for Budimir. Budimir, who just wasn't fast enough to do anything against the Portugal defense, and couldn't hold up or just play with the ball like Matanovic did, which immediately gave us so many more options, since you can actually give the ball to the striker who can hold it and then give it to somebody else who can move it forward, which Matanovic did brilliantly, and he's also much faster, and Argentina has won it. Uh, Brilliant header. But anyways, Matanovic much better option. I didn't want the change. That there was rumors from rumors, leaks, poor leaks from Vercelli List, who were getting the lineups incorrect the whole tournament, and I still wonder why they kept posting them. For the Ghana match, they guessed like 3 players that started, which why do you guys continue? Whoever the journalist was in the US who was giving them these leaks, how I don't know who told you, but it's obviously not somebody from the camp.
Yeah.
Sportska Novosti, on the other hand, had spot on information. But obviously, there were talks about Matanovic possibly starting. That was the only question going into the match on match day for Dalić. In the end, he kept with Budimir, but obviously, wrong choice. As I said, just couldn't do anything. Well, not fast, and he's not a striker who can hold the ball.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
mean, we
have that.
mentioned it. We mentioned it last week, didn't we? In terms
Yeah,
of the striking issues, and sort of how it seemed that everything got better once they were making changes. Both from Budimir obviously against Panama, Matanovic against Ghana, and Matanovic again here. It's obviously it's an issue with initial setup.
yeah,
Um, Not that I'm saying that he necessarily got anything particularly wrong in this game, but obviously there's something not creating the fluency up front
yeah.
that's needed.
Yeah, but anyways, Croatia starts the second half hot. We start pressuring Portugal immediately. and it very quickly pays off after in like what 53rd, like 8 minutes after
Yeah.
halftime. Even Perisic, Stanisic gets the ball on the right, just stays on side perfectly, delivers a cross that goes everybody's heads, and falls to Perisic on the far left, who slots it home, and absolute delirium in
Mhm.
Toronto. And I'm like, we're knocking him out. We're knocking Ronaldo out. We are absolutely doing it. And then obviously we continue it, which it's not like Croatia to do. Uh, Kovacic played an absolutely monster game. Was absolutely top notch. Like it was one of his best performances for Croatia ever. It's sad that it's only come now because we certainly did need him in the earlier games, especially England,
Yeah.
in this type of form. But it's positive to see ahead of the new season that's gonna start in a month for him. So hopefully he can continue with this, and he's most likely gonna leave City. So I hope wherever he leaves, he's gonna be the main starter, the main midfielder in that team. But a monstrous game, had a brilliant two chances after Perisic's goal. Made a just literally a solo run down the middle, go shoots, hits the post. After a bit of wobbling and bobbling, the ball falls back to him, hits it on a perfect volley, which Costa sees in the last second and makes a tremendous save. And Costa in this game was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, he was good last night as well in the Spain
Yeah,
game. Yeah, and I mean, obviously we've seen him on penalties before. Um, that is probably the one almost more of a difference maker than a certain person up front for them, because he certainly he kept them in it here because like you say, Kovacic scores one of those chances, obviously the one he popped onto the post, then
yeah.
it's a long way back.
It's it's a very long way back, especially for Portugal, who well, you know, actually, am I remembering correctly? Was it straight after the goal or straight
It
after the Ronaldo goal?
it was after the Ronaldo goal, yeah,
It was after the. Yeah, still would have. I think it would have killed off the game
yeah,
because I think we would have taken control and just sat back. But sadly, yeah, let's then go a few minutes back to Ronaldo, who gets his first ever knockout goal and with his first ever touch in our box, by the way, which
yeah,
is the penalty. Yeah, as we said, Vlasic holds down. Was it Vega? It was Vega,
yeah,
the main man who was in everything in this controversial match. Just involved and he was very dangerous. Like Portugal were very dangerous from every corner, every cross. And Vega was on the end of most corners, which thankfully he didn't put away.
yeah.
But
I mean,
it was just
and on the same side, you wouldn't how much you attribute it to Portugal being strong in those areas, or Croatia continuing to be weak
yeah. I was gonna say,
in those areas.
like
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it's just infuriating to see every corner being almost half a goal for the opposing team just because we cannot follow our man
yeah,
and we can't see. Like Portugal does set pieces, which they probably did in their earlier matches. I just haven't bothered to remember. But that's not my job now, is it?
mhm,
But you still have to. They have a set piece coach. I don't think we have a particular set piece coach in our team, and if we do, sack him. Uh, but yeah, Portugal's going to do some blocking and some second running into the far post. But thankfully we didn't concede from it. But we were very close because as I said, every cross, every corner was very dangerous for our defense, which dealt with it barely. But in this instance, Vlasic dealt with it by, as you said, essentially just holding, not really tugging him and making a foul, just holding him. But it's a call. I it's obviously all calls aren't yes or no. It's a spectrum of what some referees are going to call it, some are not. This referee called it, sadly, and I mean the rest of the game he refereed wasn't on our favor, especially in the first half. But Turina very clearly gets fouled in transition and should have been a very clear yellow for, I think it was Vega
mhm,
or Fernandez. Somebody that just took down Baturina from behind when we were going in attack. No foul. Uh, another Fernandez dived, I think, 2 times very clearly, and the ref still gave the free kick. So it's those little calls that also went against us. But we still played a heck of a game, especially that second half. And after Ronaldo scored Kovacic's chance, Matanovic's chance, where he keeps the ball and I mean from a weird angle tries to score, but Costa still saves it very good. And then obviously that last those last added time minutes. While we're attacking, Leao gets the ball on the left. Stanisic, I mean, I wouldn't give too much to fault Stanisic here just because it is Leao, and if you do press him, he can get past you in point 0.1 seconds.
Mhm.
But just double him. Just somebody run as fast as you can so you can double him and force him one way. Just force him either inside or outside, but force him some way, but giving him the option of going either way. And Stanish is staying back a bit, just gives him space to do anything. He delivers a perfect cross. Pongracic and Guardiola don't jump, and Ramos delivers an inch perfect header.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quality goal of its type. Yeah, I mean, again, as you indicated very rightly there, if you're Portugal and Guardiola looking back at it, you've not done your jobs.
No,
At the end of the day, and however good the cross is, if you have one man in front of him, one man behind him, the man in the middle should not be getting that ball.
no. And they are literally they are holding him. Guardiola is holding him.
Yeah,
Pongracic is right in front of him. He's literally in a sandwich, and he still gets it off.
yeah, shouldn't be
But
happening.
yeah, but it was literally just perfect for Portugal because, as you said, neither of them jumped. Could have certainly done better, both of them. But yeah, I'm just shocked that the only time Ronaldo doesn't play, they actually play well and do an
Mhm.
attack well, and Ramos scores what, let's say, Ronaldo would score in his prime, but obviously not now. If that was Ronaldo in
Yeah,
that position, I don't think he's getting that
but I
kind of
mean,
header off.
his penalty wasn't even really that good. Again, we sort of mentioned it last week. If the back just stands there, he saves it.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I always, if I shoot a penalty, I'm going down the middle.
Yeah. If,
It's
if anyone's playing Lover of Fives coming up, then you know what to write on the bottle.
well, listen, in fives, in
Yeah.
futsal, I'm gonna strike it as hard as I can and just hope for the best. That's what I did back in the day. I would just strike that ball with pure hate, just pure force. Where am I aiming? God knows. But yeah, if it's a big goal, if we're playing on a grass 11v11, I'm shooting it down the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's just it was also very funny to me at the time when we could see that. I was just like, Jesus Christ, the one time Martinez takes Ronaldo off in this World Cup, they actually can perform an attack.
Mhm.
They actually don't have to get a penalty or a corner. They can actually just do it on the pitch,
Yeah.
which they didn't do against Spain,
No.
very obviously, since they got knocked out. But also Spain has a brilliant defense who hasn't conceded so far this World Cup, and our defense has very much conceded. But yeah, and then obviously we start going for it, and Guardiola gets it in, but as we've thoroughly checked, like VAR,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think I think just know it wasn't a well refereed game in general.
no,
I think I think it goes something when you're even pissing off Luka Modric to the point where he's actually saying the referee was crap.
yeah,
It did feel like every 50-50 and maybe even every 60-40 went Portugal's way,
yeah,
which isn't what should be happening, obviously. I, it's just one of those. It's weird because obviously there's not really been a tournament like it for some time for Croatia, in the respect of there's a real feeling of what might have been.
yeah,
Because obviously there were bits of that performance where they exceeded the high that we'd seen in the Ghana game,
yeah,
where you'd have been like, okay, actually, get through and they'll give Spain a real game, and then it's taken out because of that. Um, and there's obviously a bittersweet element of it because we all know the narrative. It's the end of the generation, it's the end of Dalić, it's the end of this, that, and the other. Even putting that to one side, I think there's a feeling had Croatia been able to get through, that maybe the round of 16 wouldn't have been the end of this journey.
Yeah.
And I think as we've seen with, obviously Germany going out, Brazil going out, obviously the greatest team in the world, the US going out, that this is a World Cup that actually is opening up for smaller sides to go really deep.
Yeah.
I don't think too many people expected Norway to be quarterfinalists, as,
Yeah.
as fine a qualifying campaign as they had. Um, so why not? Why not Croatia? Well, we know why not now, but
Because of the most minuscule call in football.
yes,
Like I tweeted it. I was like, "This is the most minuscule call ever given." I don't
yeah,
think anything comes close to it. And if,
not that I can remember.
yeah, and if it does, congrats.
Yeah, I
T-
mean,
take
it was as
take this
much a
trophy
header.
off of our hands.
It was as much a header as Diego Maradona in 1986.
If only he touched and it was given. If only somebody turned VAR off. Like if some Croatian found the power outlet during the VAR review and just plugged that out, it has to be given.
Get the pyro out. That'll knock them out.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we got knocked out, and now obviously Robert Mattoni. Let's get to the aftermath. Robert Mattoni, who wrote who helped Luka write his autobiography, has said that Dalić will leave. Most likely, it's almost a given now. Soon to be announced in the next 2 days by today's reports. And Modrić is retiring. That's from the national team. He's expected to continue with Milan because Amorim and Milan's owner have personally called him and told him, "You're important to us this upcoming season." So it looks like he's gonna stay at Milan and boss the league again, and then probably retire at the end of the season in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in terms of the Dalic, they're not rumors. I think we all kind of knew this was it for
Yeah,
him.
and the way he's talking, end of an era, and then he's like, "Oh no, no, that's not what I meant. I meant the older players," and that it's literally
Yeah,
just Modric retiring.
yeah, exactly. It's literally just Modric retiring, and it's like, yeah, Zlatko, you definitely didn't already sign a contract with someone before the tournament.
Yeah,
You know, and I mean, fair play, get you back. He doesn't owe this side anything. Um, on Modric, I sort of said it before the tournament, and sort of before the doubt over whether he would carry on came out with B. I didn't necessarily see him retiring at the tournament, but straight after, just saying, yeah, we'll have one more game in Croatia. Bye bye, Luka, and then on your way. I think the door's possibly still open for that, for
yeah,
one game in September. Why not? Um, I don't necessarily see what story he has to write at Milan unless they're going to win Serie A, um, which you sort of counter argument to that would be Ruben Amorim.
yeah.
But you know, it, he doesn't owe us an explanation.
No, he doesn't, and I mean, I think it's I think it's time just for Luka to retire because there's so many good midfielders as we've seen. Uh, Kovacic still has it, still has a few years ahead of him if he can keep fit and keep healthy. Uh, Baturina, Petar Sucic were among our probably our two best players in this World Cup alongside Perisic. You can argue. Perisic also in the Portugal game, which we didn't mention, was fantastic.
Yeah, but obviously what's all
Still
tournament,
has
didn't
it. Yeah, all tournament, but against Portugal, he was on top of it. Like the whole left side, it was just him. But
he? Yeah,
yeah, Slaven Bilic is rumored, almost confirmed to be Highness's first option to replace Dalic. So the first manager to be brought back, I think, for Croatia
Mhm.
as a full-time manager, and it's he's coming back and trying to right the wrongs and right the unluckiness of 2008 and 2010 and 2012, especially with the group stage in Euro 2012, where we got Spain and Italy, who eventually, as we know, made it to the final. Almost knocked one of them out. We lost to Spain after a dubious call. I think, if I remember right, it was on Choluka, a penalty.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, looking forward to it because statistically speaking, he is the best manager points per game.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously he's not really been that successful. I think it's fair to say as a club manager.
Yeah,
Um, maybe his best spell was what he got West Brom promoted,
and
and did very well at West Ham.
yeah,
Uh, but it was for 18 months. In both circumstances,
yeah.
he didn't really have a long shelf life there.
And
Um,
Besiktas was also like what, a year maybe.
yeah, they're all reasonably short and eventually quite acrimonious spells. Obviously that first job at Croatia is the one where he did the job,
Yeah,
but at the same time, you know, we obviously know how Croatia have done. The expectations have changed quite a bit from
a lot.
2008.
Yeah,
I think possibly what's going to be interesting is sort of see where he lands tactically because a lot of the time, first time around he was playing 4-4-2 or 4-4 or with the diamond.
yeah,
Um, so that would be quite interesting to see whether he is or how he will incorporate that because that's potentially that's an improvement. If your argument is that Croatia don't have enough up front, we'll put in another striker on and maybe actually
yeah.
say, hey, let's play. Almost like Bosnia did. You got big man, running man in Budimir and Matanovic together, or I don't
Musa.
know. Yeah, uh, you know, it's more up in the air, but I think possibly the key thing is, obviously in that first spell, he brought through, most of the generation that went on
Yeah,
into
Modric,
2018.
Rakitic, Perisic. Did Perisic start playing? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he started playing for him before
yeah,
the
I think,
next cycle for the World Cup.
yeah, I think 2011. I think 2011.
Yeah,
But but it's a pretty similar job that's needed now, in terms of bringing the youth on. And we saw on Sunday, in taking apart Serbia in Bangor,
yeah,
that there's plenty of talented players there. Obviously Chelsea's goal was fantastic.
yeah,
Um, so there's talent there to bring through. It's going to be how that's melded in and whether or not the Highness will be accepting of actually saying, okay, maybe we just scrape into the Euro 2028. Maybe it's a group stage knockout, but actually we're building because we've brought in 5 players now. We're bringing in
yeah.
2 more into the 2030 cycle, and then we're going to make a real go for the World Cup. Um, but we shall see.
We shall see. But our younger generations are doing well. Under
Yeah.
21s are doing amazingly well with Dalić in their qualifying group, top of the group with a game in hand.
Mhm.
So it's going perfectly, as you said. Under 19s, beat Serbia, made it squeaked through into the semis. Now facing Spain tomorrow on the day, actually today when this releases. It's a very good generation. Under 17s also making it constantly to World Cups and Euros with Budimir. It's amazing so far. Like every generation has a few players that you can see having a good career. Chelsea, Patrice Jovic also very good. Subotic from Lokomotiva didn't miss a pass, by the way, against Serbia. 100% success rate, which is exactly what he does. That's that. His job is passing, and he did it literally
And
perfectly.
yeah, that's before you sort of bring in the more immediate ones, such as Stojkovic, such as Melio,
Yeah,
who, you know, and Segatic as well, who are probably
yeah,
sat there thinking, I'm a little bit unlucky not to have gone this
yeah.
time
Who are
round.
knocking on the door?
Yeah,
who we could probably see. As you said, it depends on the setup. If on the setup Bilic wants, if he does want to go like down the middle for too narrow diamond, and just go with four midfielders. I mean that would suit us because we have too many.
Hmm.
Or if he's gonna stick with a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, whatever he sticks with, we'll see. It's 2 months from now that we're gonna get that list. There's a bit of time to everything, and a new season is gonna start. So we're gonna see how everybody kicks off. Any injuries possibly, but the future is bright, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So right now, we have a good crop of players coming through right now, and the younger generations are doing very well. And we have a good core of older players like Perisic. Kramaric has said he's gonna stay. Kovacic is there, who is gonna be the natural leader in the midfield. Now that Modric is gone, we can also say that he probably would have been leading this team if Modric just retired after 2018 or 2022.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't say we wasted him, but we certainly haven't seen the best of him for Croatia.
No, definitely not. But yeah, like you say, there's such a good core. And we've obviously seen in this tournament the new core is coming through.
Yeah,
Um, and so, like I say, there's something coming through. It's not necessarily Euro 2028 that is a target.
yeah,
It possibly is, like I say, 2030, 2032, that things will come on. But that's a long way off.
yeah,
And I think by that point we will have, obviously new Conservative built, new Maximia built, and the actual real lasting contribution of the past 8 years to Croatian football, as in giving it a ton of money and allowing you to put in the actual infrastructure
yeah,
to make the most of it, is going to be there. And that's, you know, it's that's a very physical legacy, quite aside from the being able to put money into youth and things like that, because that's always ephemeral. It's always
yeah,
difficult to know just how good something's going to turn out. I mean, we Chelsea could get injured and break his leg tomorrow, and that's pretty
yeah,
much him done. But even if he does, hopefully he doesn't, obviously. There's others there to fill in his place, and like I say, there's the players coming through, crucially coming through domestically. Um, through Dinamo, through Hajduk, through, well, maybe not through Osijek, maybe just via Osijek, as well. But there's there's enough there, and I think you sort of go back 18 years to Bilic and to who he had to choose from in 2008. The pool
yeah,
is so much deeper now.
yeah. It is so much. I mean, it's so much deeper that Ivanovic didn't make the cut for
Yeah.
strikers. As we said, Stojkovic, Beljo, Šegičić are there. Domagoj Bradarić, a left back, didn't make the cut, even though he appeared in the last cycle of the qualifiers and even played in Varaždin against Gibraltar, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But yeah, we have a very good depth, and I mean, just the players that didn't play in this World Cup are still useful.
Yeah. I mean, but like I say, I mean, you sort of look at, if you go back to that first tournament squad and you look at who's in it, Vojevic, no chance he'd be in this squad. No offense to him. But, it's not just him, Igor Budan, Vedran Brunier's third keeper. Even Pranjic, would that sort of player be in this squad? Probably not.
Yeah,
They probably would be sat on the outside looking in, like Ivanovic. Yeah, they probably wouldn't be in. They wouldn't be in the 30, the 35, the preliminary squad. I think that's the big difference of depth. But there's still, obviously the weaknesses that we've talked about all tournament in terms of having that striker.
yeah. We need an out and out, like a starter, not what Dalić has been doing, which is just Botanovic, Bosa, Budimir,
Who
Ivanovic.
works for 60 minutes? Yeah,
Yeah, we need somebody who's going to be given time and trust.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, what else can we? I mean, Modric obviously once in a generation player.
Mhm.
It's it's obviously gonna be hard to see a Croatia without him, which it's gonna be very strange for our younger generations who only remember Croatia with Modric in the midfield. But we have, as I said, we have a bright future. We have so many players right now, but Turna and Sucic, as we said, are gonna be world beaters. Like it's not even a question at this point. If they escape injuries, if they just stay stay professional, if they, but like what Turna has stepped up so much, it's actually like unbelievable how much he has improved from his Dynamo days.
Yeah, and that's, if you get that sort of growth again from Stojkovic when he eventually moves, again, you could really be talking about the entire midfield being actually the squad that didn't win the title for Dinamo once, but actually have shown so much growth outside that they've made their claims undeniable.
Yeah, but
But
they won the title before.
well, they won plenty before.
Yeah,
But it's funnier to focus on the one they lost.
yeah. The last season they had a Dynamo. Not so funny for us, only for Yeka fans.
No.
But yeah, I would, we're gonna touch shortly on Hajduk at the end again. There's been improvements, but should we focus on Balogun for a bit?
Um, yeah, I mean, we can do. I don't think there's too
We,
much to say that's not already been said by everyone else in
yeah,
the world before.
yeah. I
Um,
think everybody's in the majority here. By the amount of Belgian tweets I saw yesterday,
yeah,
yeah,
I think the first thing to point out, and I mean, again, so when you go looking into it and you go looking for what referees were actually saying about it, it was a red card. There,
it
it
was
was not
given.
it was given, but it wasn't a borderline decision. It wasn't just for, let's say on the ankle if you get the still. It was right down the Achilles and on the ankle. Whether
Yeah,
there's intent there or not, it is a red card all day long. Doesn't matter, what country you play for, anything like that. That is a red card. The referee on the day was right. Um, and then what happened. Um, Obviously, I mean, you see, I think even during this tournament, Nepal have been suspended by FIFA
yeah.
for political interference. And maybe it's just before the tournament, or maybe it's during the tournament, so I can't quite remember. But that is very recent, and it's the only time you'll ever talk about Nepali football. Um, but how did they get kicked out for that? And hi, Gianni, can you sort out that red card, please? How does that not get the same? Because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, you are adjudicating a sport, and the answer, if you get that call, is no.
bugger off.
Yeah, exactly, but less politely than that.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's obviously a horrific shame for Balogun because he shouldn't have been involved in the press furore.
yeah,
It's not fair on him. It's not really fair on the US because I would imagine they spent all the days between Bosnia and Belgium preparing as if Balogun was not going to play because he was not going to play.
yeah. He
And
wasn't
then he
going to
comes
play.
back the day before the game, and you kind of in a position where you're forced to include him because of the press pressure. Um, and it also can't have not been a complete diversion for the squad in terms of just seeing the headlines, the nonsense. You might
Yeah,
have had people from the FA going in and say like, right, okay, yeah, he's actually playing now. Oh, wait a minute, and then you get ping on your phone. Belgium was sending anger letters to FIFA. Ping on your phone. Shefferin's like, yeah, no, this isn't okay. UEFA do not approve of this. Sort it, Johnny. Obviously, this appeal isn't sorted. There's no way to say that didn't affect the mental state. And however you want to look at it, yes, is it funny that Belgium beat them 4-1? Extremely.
absolutely.
Is it necessarily a fair reflection of the result if President Trump had just, as he rarely does, shut the hell up and not done anything? it also, yeah, it probably isn't a fair reflection.
Yeah,
Um, and I think, sort of further to, one of the things that FIFA will be focused on, which is, oh, how do we grow the game in the US? How do we get people involved? How do we, turn CONCACAF clubs into, the equal of UEFA? The US attitude towards this squad will be forever tainted by how they went out.
yeah,
It won't be. This wasn't a heroic defeat. This isn't remembered, like against USSR in ice hockey or anything like that. This is you got your butts whipped.
yeah. And you mentioned the perspective of the mental side on the USA squad. It certainly had an effect on the Belgian squad
Yeah, of
because
course.
I haven't like I watched I think every game of Belgium because they were all in a good slot, uh, and they never ran as much as last night.
No, I mean they've been terrible all tournament. I
Yeah,
think it's fair
they
to say.
were terrible. Like they were terrible, and the US apparently so was much better than Belgium, from what we saw. But then again, they didn't face a real squad, and when they faced Turkey, they lost. Uh, but yeah, Belgium didn't look even close to what they showed last night.
No, not
Before
at all.
in
I
the
mean,
last four matches, they were not this good.
no. I mean, like you say, I think potentially the USA did peak early. Fine.
Yeah,
It happens at a tournament. We saw it with Germany. It's very rare you come out the blocks and absolutely batter your first
everybody
opposition, and then you're still
continue.
doing that
Yeah,
3, 4 weeks later. It's such a difficult thing to
it's
carry that form
impossible
forward.
almost.
You've got to play into the tournament, and you know, eh, Belgium haven't been good. Um, it's not very. I think Docker has been very disappointing much of this tournament.
Yeah,
Um, just from an attacking perspective in general, they've been very disappointing. But Lukaku's there, and in spite of not being the most mobile anymore, he actually is scoring, which is an advance on 2022. Um, but yeah, you say there's no way really to view it as a fair reflection of either side's tournament.
yeah.
Um,
Or how it would have went down if any of this didn't happen.
exactly. I think it did highlight for people, how far the US do have to go.
Yeah,
If they
a
keep on going,
long,
say
long way.
Pulisic is one of the best players in the world. No, he's not. He never has been.
No,
There was maybe a point where he could have got up to there, but he's obviously had struggles with injuries, struggled with
yeah,
form, struggled with getting football. He's not anywhere near the class. He wouldn't get into Belgium's starting lineup.
yeah, and we also have like also another thing that bothered me since the pods were announced for the World Cup. Just the three host nations having pod one, which I think has to be
Yeah.
changed immediately because the US having to face the teams they faced
Hmm.
and uh, facing your first real opponent, a tough opponent in round of 16 isn't a fair tournament, especially when you see us playing against England. When you see what other groups were tough. I mean, technically Uruguay and Spain. Uruguay is also a big
Brazil and
nation.
Morocco.
Brazil, Morocco. It's you know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Obviously, if it wasn't for the three hosts, then Croatia would have been in Pot A side.
yeah,
And,
and
you know,
Morocco.
yeah, and you sort of look at that and you say, well, actually, what would Croatia have done in that group going through, Turkey, Paraguay, Australia, Bosnia? That would have been fun. And then,
And then Belgium
and then Belgium. Yeah, they would probably would have knocked them off.
quarterfinals. Yeah,
Yeah, you would be expecting that. I mean, I think of the host nations in terms of how they've gone out. I think certainly the ones who sort of come out with their reputations massively enhanced to Canada.
yeah,
Mexico were fine, but you sort of against England, you really saw their limitations tactically in terms of oh right, okay, we need a goal. What am I going to do? Put a big man on. What am I going to do? Cross the ball in. What can England deal with absolutely easily?
they have Dan
Just
Burn.
yeah, yeah,
They have the tallest guy at the World Cup. What do you mean you're gonna
yeah.
cross it
They've
in?
evolved Harry Maguire. Um, But for Canada, and don't get me wrong, I think if you go back to 2022, I think a lot of the positives about Canada were there then, in terms
Yeah,
of how physical, how direct they were. They really gave Morocco a game. 3-0 was a harsh reflection,
yeah,
but maybe Jesse Marsh was, I think, let's be honest, smoking crack, saying he'd rather be Canada, having
yeah.
been attacking all the time.
He's like
He'd
he
rather be through.
to say his words, like word for word what he said. I would rather be us than them.
Yeah,
What? Excuse me? You
I'd
would
rather
rather
be
be?
through than not.
What do you mean? You would rather be knocked out of the World Cup and not go to the quarterfinals?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
It's.
I can sort of see,
I mean, I
the
understand you played
principle,
well. Like it's like
but
Dalić saying "Oh, I would rather be us. We played well. We should have beat them. What
yeah,
we didn't."
yeah, I think, I mean, it's probably, if you do have a criticism of Jesse Marsh in general, that's usually it. Is he can be a
Yeah,
bit happy
yeah,
clappy,
yeah.
and come out with some absolute nonsense,
Ted
and that
Lasso,
is an example of it.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
But yeah, it. But one thing he said that I do agree with. Sigur was their man of the match in that game,
yeah,
and he was.
yeah.
He looked phenomenal, and I'm surprised he didn't play more.
I agreed. I mean, he came out against the side before.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Who
for
was
a
that?
long
I can't remember
time.
who they played before.
They
South
played
Africa,
South
of
Africa.
course.
Yeah,
And he came out. I don't think he was particularly impressive in that game.
yeah,
But it's a very different opponent because Morocco actually play football and South Africa do not. Um, no, well, they didn't, to be
yeah. They
honest.
didn't.
Um,
They
but
just scaped through.
yeah, it's exactly what you've got to do in that
Yeah,
situation. How many times is he going to turn up at a World Cup and play?
yeah,
He's
exactly.
absolutely not playing for a nation that's guaranteed to be there in 2030. For us
Yeah,
to, take your opportunity, get your move.
yeah. Yesterday, Sky Sports reported that Wolverhampton is still interested
Mhm.
and are gonna offer 2 to 3 billion. Which, Jesus Christ. When I go back to last year when we were like 8 million at least for Nico Sigurd, and now we're like 3 million. Take him.
Yeah.
Hajduk. Uh, anyways,
Anyway,
yeah,
hi, Duke.
yeah. Anyways, good segue. Levaya is back in the team. He's registered. What happened since last time we talked? Well, Levaya got back to split early. Hajduk played an amazing game against Celje. Watched the whole game. We were brilliant. Should have beat them by more than one goal. Strego has proven to be Garcia's man in attack, to be exactly what he's looking for with the runs he does and just being proactive in defense as well. Uh, yeah, we played amazingly. We have won every single one of our friendlies. It's it looks good. Against like Cherkasy looked okay, but Cherkasy were now playing a friendly game. I don't know if I said that in the last podcast, but
Yeah, you did, yeah.
they were not playing a friendly game. They were going, Jesus Christ, it was competitive for them. But we dealt with it. We dealt with it. But yeah, essentially, comes back to split. First training session, Levaya comes, and Garcia asks him to do the lap, to do the laps, and and Levaya probably just is like, "What the fuck? No." Turns around and does some gym work by himself. So I didn't train with the team. Then has a meeting and essentially is like, "I'm not gonna run. I ain't running." like Kawhi Leonard said in I think it was the Clippers
Hmm.
when he joined them. I ain't running. Which yeah, in the end he did run because the next day they had a meeting. Everybody sat down. Bilic, probably the mediator between him, Livaya, Garcia, and Graf, and they in the end Livaya signed the disciplinary code of conduct, how you want to call it, and did the running.
Which you
So
should
I
do, which is
yeah
right.
yeah uh, which is absolutely right. Again, we can talk about running in professional football being punishment, which I don't think I've seen in many professional clubs. It's mostly a thing that you do to juniors, under
Mm.
19s, or
It's a thing that used to happen quite a lot.
yeah, but it
It's not
hasn't.
so
It
much
hasn't.
anymore.
Yeah, not so much anymore. That's what I'm saying. It's more now like in the younger generations to show them that they're not doing the right thing. But yeah, obviously, the I probably felt undervalued, which whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a professional player. The manager is always going to be above you, but it's come so far that nobody put their foot down. Uh, you can say Levi put his foot down, but in the end, he took it off because he went back and probably said, "Yeah, sorry, moved on." But Bilic, at some point, we have to like 2 times he refused. 2 times he didn't train with the squad. At some point, you have to just say, "What are we doing? Why are we still keeping him?" The reason's obvious because there's pressure from the fan base, and God knows Hajduk to do something that the fan base doesn't like. But yeah, it's Bilic. As we said last podcast, as I had the rant, this should have been sorted out months ago. When Vucevic left, the first thing on the menu should have been Levi's contract. Should we continue? Should we extend or let him put him on the transfer list for the next summer transfer window? If a transfer doesn't happen, he can we can let the contract expire and let him leave on a free and let him play the last match. Since we're probably not going to be in a title fight, uh, just let him play and say goodbye. But at this point, it's just come so far, and we've instead of putting an end to this, we've pushed the rock again down the road, which at some point I'm convinced it's gonna blow up again.
But I mean, history shows it will.
Yeah, it's
I think
happened
that's the
multiple
thing.
times.
Yeah, it's happened multiple times, and at this point, it's not worth it. It's not worth it
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Like Garcia, he isn't gonna start against Žilina on Thursday, aka tomorrow when you're watching this or listening. He's not gonna start tomorrow because he hasn't trained with the squad for almost a week. Shego has been the main starter, and he will. And I doubt Levi is gonna see minutes outside the bench for the next month.
Yeah, and no, should he? I mean, what case has he made for himself to be put on? None.
No, and
Um,
is Garcia does Garcia like him? No. Does he like him even less now? Probably.
yeah,
Especially since the reports were that he cursed off the manager and the sporting director. I don't think both are very fond of him right now,
no,
despite what he has done for the club. But the problem is every past manager except Leko, who was, as we know, sacked. We just know that Levaya has been handed just reins to do whatever he wants,
yeah,
and at some point that was gonna boil over as it has.
mhm,
And at some
absolutely.
point you run out of credit. Like he had credit for how much he could fuck up. Let's say you can do these many, and he's just overdone it by a mile now.
Yeah, definitely.
First of
I
all,
mean, there's not really much else to say on it, is there?
yeah, like no,
It is how
I
long
said it.
it's how long do you tolerate it?
Yeah, I said the last podcast. Not coming off the bench against Rijeka. Okay, you didn't play. We're getting our asses beat by Rijeka. You're getting asked to be played. You're getting asked to be put on, and you don't want to play.
Mhm.
Of course, the manager isn't gonna like you. And then you come out in a press conference just saying, "Oh yeah, we clash heads because I don't agree with his playing style. We just don't agree on playing styles. That happens. Yeah, it happened before, and that
It's your job to
manager,
deal with it.
yeah, and but before managers got sacked because of that.
Hmm.
Now Garcia's staying. Bilic is well.
Well,
It's tough to say. It's tough to say he's standing behind Garcia when he's trying to mediate everything and being like he's trying to play both sides essentially. He's like Garcia, I want you. Levaya, don't leave, please.
yeah. I'm just gonna have to jump off now.
Yeah, I think we're over anyways.
I
I
was
don't
gonna
want
say,
to
I think.
I don't want to continue talking about this, but yeah, thank you for watching
Tune in
or
next week for
listening.
the chapters of Leviathan.
Yes, imagine he scores a hat trick after he comes on. Anyways,
Yeah.
thank you for listening and or watching. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.